in life, we're always going somewhere. We always got a destination. We either have an appointment to catch, work to get to, school, some project. We live lives that are full of destinations. And we are always scurrying off from one thing to the next thing. We're going from one destination to the next. And these destinations start to get to us. And they start to they actually begin to dictate our lives. But also, not only do they begin to dictate our lives, but they also begin to be the points of, like, they become the milestones in life. So let me give you an example. So milestones that we think of, like, oh, once I get there, it'll be great. So a milestone might be when you get your first acceptance letter into college. It's a great milestone. It's a destination. I finally made it. I'm going to college. And then from there, the milestone of possibly going into a graduate school. From there, the milestone of finding the right person and getting engaged. From there, the milestone of having a child and buying your first home. These are all destinations that we're working for, that we aim for. And then we feel like when we finally have them under our belt, we've done something. They've kind of also, not only are they a destination, but they're also a marker of success for us. They're also a marker of success. Milestone for some parents eventually are, I want grandkids. Finally, I get that title of grandma, grandpa. So we all have different destinations that we're trying to get to. And these destinations kind of pave the way of life. And along, as we pave the way, like, they become a mile marker of success at times on how our life is going. But destinations also have, I'll call it like a two-edged sword. Like, they have a good side because they give us direction, but they also have a negative side, especially when we're trying to reach too many destinations. And one of the negative sides of having too many destinations to reach is we overlook the people in front of us. We don't see the people in front of us. We don't see the people next to us. Why? Because we're just trying to get to the next destination. Give you an example. When you're walking through the grocery store and you have a phone call. So you pick up your phone call, you're talking, commonly see it like at the grocery store. Usually somebody's telling you, like, oh, don't forget to bring this. But you're already in line and you're talking on the phone and you kind of go, you check out, and you realize you never even acknowledged the person who's checking you out. Grocery store was just a destination. You passed by, you didn't see the person in front of you. Other destinations where we miss the people in front of us. Usually, like, there are some seasons of life, like, for example, like the graduation season is right now going on. And there are many different graduation parties, and sometimes graduations happen all on the same day. Different parties happen all on the same day. And sometimes you find yourself, you're jumping from one graduation to the next graduation to the next graduation. And you've done that only to be able to say, hey, I've been there. But have you actually stopped to acknowledge the person that you're there for? Or is it just a destination? Do we see the people, or do we see the destination? What about, and I'm guilty of this, I'm guilty of many of these things, but guilty of this one, all right? You go out to dinner with your wife, all right? The destination is a nice evening together, but the mind is on a destination of its own. So while you're sitting there with a person, okay, you're doing something that is there to support and build up your marriage, but your mind is somewhere else. So, and we think that by being there, that will ultimately bring a good marriage. Like, in order to have a good marriage, I must spend time with my spouse. So I go to a destination thinking that this destination or this dinner will, by default, bring a good marriage to me, or bring a good marriage. But because my mind is somewhere else, I may be in a place, but I've missed the person in front of me. And what makes a good marriage? Not the destination, but the person in front of you and the relationship you have with them. And this is something that I come across very commonly. I've had many parents come to me later on after their children have grown up, And in some situations, they see that their child has just left the church and left their relationship with God. And I've heard this line one too many times. But I was told that if I just brought them to church, they would be okay. I was told that if I just brought them every week, if they attended Vespers, if they went to all the camps, if they attended like all Sunday school, that they would be fine. They took them to a destination. They took them to a destination, but they never found the person. The destination was church. But the real destination was a person. In life, we go to destinations. Everybody, all of us are going somewhere. But can we stop to appreciate the person? Can we stop to appreciate the person? And today's gospel was such a perfect example of that. Today's gospel, I know we read it, we've read a lot in the last couple months, but it's the Samaritan woman, John chapter 4. It's such a famous story. And if you caught it at the beginning, Jesus was going on a destination. He was in Judea, and they were baptizing, but now the new destination was Galilee. And along, there was one destination in the middle, Sychar, in Samaria. So we have three destinations. Jesus was very busy. There was a lot to do in the ministry. But Jesus was the greatest example of never losing sight of the person for the sake of the destination. He never lost sight of who was in front of him for the sake of the destination. Even though his destination was to go to Galilee, what was more important, a destination or a person? It was a person. Because if Samaria was just about a destination and to stop and rest and get food, then when the Samaritan woman came, he would have respectfully walked over to the other tree, sat down until she left, and then he'd come back to the well. But it wasn't about a destination. It was about a person. The person always trumps the destination. And so, because Jesus was all about the people that he was about to die for, he struck up conversation. He struck up conversation with her. And the conversation, I'm not sure where we are in the slides. We'll keep going. There we go. That's a good slide. All right. So, he struck up conversation, and this became one of the most fascinating conversations. Because it was a conversation that started in the physical realm, saying, when he said, "Give me a drink," but it's a conversation that very quickly escalated to the spiritual realm. The physical was the entry point, but the end point was the soul of a person. He said, "Give me a drink." "Why are you asking me? You're a Jew, I'm a Samaritan, we got nothing to do with it. You're a man, I'm a woman, and you don't even know the type of woman I am. Why are you talking with me?" But, as we were saying last week, Jesus made a very bold claim last week in the gospel. He said, "I'm the bread of life." And when he said that I'm the bread of life, his statement was, I'm the only one who can satisfy anything and everything you've yearned for. And so, Jesus put his money where his mouth was. And so what he was telling this woman is like, you're coming for water, but I know exactly what you need. And I know exactly what you want. And what you want is not just water. And I don't want to recount all the details of their conversation, because I'm going to share a quote. It's one of my favorite quotes about this story that I think sums it up. But I would say that it was a conversation that started in the physical realm of life and ended up in a completely different place. What the Samaritan woman was looking for too at the well was not a destination but a person. She met a person. She met the person of Jesus Christ at the well. And through this interaction, we can see what the difference is between going to a destination versus meeting a person. And the quote I'm going to show you and share with you nicely articulates the difference between when we go to a place for a destination or when we go to a place to meet a person. And so the quote is this. It's on the screen and I'll read it for you. She had come with a bucket. He sent her back with a spring of living water. She had come as rejected, and he sent her back accepted by God himself. She came wounded, he sent her back whole. She came laden with questions, he sent her back as a source of answers. She came living a life of quiet desperation. She ran back, overflowing with hope. This woman went to the well many times, for days before she met Jesus. We don't know how long. And so it was a common destination point for her. She went to go feed her thirst, but on this particular day she met a person. And this person made all the difference. Instead of it being a destination, it was an encounter. Instead of coming with a bucket, she left with a spring. She came with questions, she left with answers. She came with no hope, she left with hope. That's the difference between a person and a destination. It involves a conversation. It involves two people coming together. Two people meeting on a very intimate level. And so, if I could kind of boil two things down. Well, how do we know that, what's the difference between a destination and a person? I'll put it, I have these 2 points. Next slide. Sorry, 3 points. I forgot I added one this morning. All right? So, a destination, okay, will invoke a certain emotion. So we go to a place or a surrounding and we like it. So there's an invoked emotion. I'm happy around this place. But what a destination can't give that a person can give is a sustained emotion, a sustained fulfillment. If you're looking for that out of a destination, you won't get it. But if you find a person is able to fulfill. But a destination can't do that. The other thing that a destination does, or a destination is limited by the physical world. A destination is limited by the physical world. But a relationship with a person transcends the physical boundaries of life. So for example, if you have moved away from your family, there is still a personal relationship that transcends the distance between you. There's a physical relationship and emotional attachment between you and your family that transcends the gap between the two of you. And so, this is where family isn't necessarily just about a place, but it's about the relationships that are built. Okay? And then the last thing that differentiates between a destination and meeting a person, no, you're fine, is that if a destination, like a person will commit to the pain of a relationship with you, but a destination can't. And that's the one thing our Lord really did, is that He committed when He conversed with this woman, that He committed to going to the pain of her life. And a person is able to do that, but a destination can't. Because if a destination is associated with a negative feeling or pain, it's very easy to say, I don't want to go here anymore. It reminds me of that. It reminds me of this incident. But the difference of meeting a person is that a person in a relationship will go with you wherever you go. It's not confined by the physical. But now the question is, how do I set myself up to meet people and not just go through life as it's one destination after another? Because that's the challenge, is how do I make sure that I'm meeting people and not just going through life as if it's one destination to the next? And so, a couple things that I think that we can do is, one, decrease the amount of destinations we're trying to get to. Simplify life. It kind of takes more off our plate in order for us to stop and see the person in front of us. And so if we declutter our destinations, instead of like on a Saturday, instead of going to 2 or 3 events, you choose one event. You decrease the number of destinations. If you're at one event for a longer period of time, you're more likely to connect with the person. The other thing is, while you're at a destination, take away the distractions. Take away the things that consume your mind. Easy example is commonly you go out to a restaurant and everybody's having dinner. There's the plate, the silverware, the cups, and what's the last piece? The phone. The phone is there. Are you there to be with the people in front of you? Or are you there just in case if the situation isn't nice, I can escape? Life is about people. Life is about relationships. So, next time you're out with somebody, take the phone, put it in the other room. Take the phone, leave it in the car. It's okay. I promise you, everything will be there when you get back. It's hard. It's hard to do that. One of the things that I thought I could never do, and I actually challenged myself to do it in the last month and a half, is I thought that I could never turn off the notifications for my text messages. I thought I could never do it. It's like, but what if somebody just needs me? What if somebody just has a question? What if my wife needs to get a hold of me? Why turn off the notifications on my phone for text messages? And it was hard. But I was like, you know what? If I really want to be present with people, I need to decrease the amount of distractions. If I want to be present to my family, if I want to be present when I'm talking with somebody, I need to decrease the amount of distractions. So I did it. And I've been going for about 6 weeks. Sometimes I completely miss text messages now. But when I first did it, I found that I had built up such a habit of checking that it didn't matter whether or not I had notifications. I was going to check every 5 minutes. But it took 6 weeks to kind of break that habit. I could do it in my sleep. All right? But I've come so accustomed to it. But I realized I've become so accustomed to it that, one, sure, it is allowing me to be informed, but what it did was it robbed me of being in front of being present with the people in front of me. So taking away distractions from life allow us to be present with the people in front of us. The last thing is to remind ourselves. To remind ourselves that life isn't about the accomplishments, life isn't about getting from one place to another, but life is about the relationships that we build. And I think one of the most challenging places that actually happens is actually in a church community. Because it's very tempting to just want to build services and do different things and grow as a community. And along the way, we forget that a community is built on the relationships. And that when a relationship is weak, it takes time to let things stop and go and address that certain relationships. So it's important that as we move through life, and as we look at the people around us, we realize that it's important to stop and that the person sitting across from us, the person's hand that we're holding, our fellow student next to us, our friend who's going through a difficult time, they matter more. They matter more. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves over and over and over. It's not about the destination, it's not about finishing, it's about the person. Another place that I think we really struggle with that is in our quiet time with God. It's really easy to think that the relationship with God is about a destination. Destination can be quiet time in the morning. Destination can be going to church. Destination can be going to this retreat or attending that talk. But even in doing those, if we have not stopped to see God the person, we'll never build that relationship. And that's why I get later on in life, when parents are like, I took my kid to church, but now they're not in church. What went wrong? Well, they went to a destination. They went to a destination that has a high likelihood of meeting a person. They didn't quite meet the person. They didn't meet the person because the person is what keeps them in. The person extends beyond the physical boundaries of the wall of the church, or the time constraints of quiet time, or our prayer. He transcends all these boundaries that we put. So there's a difference between a destination and a person. God came to earth in Jesus Christ to meet people. It wasn't about just getting to the cross. The cross wasn't, it was the destination, okay? I'm not going to say anything against that, but like, he came and he met with people. Look at the disciples he chose. He took people from anywhere and he brought them in and he had a relationship with them. He didn't take the highly qualified, he took the poor. Why? Because it was about a personal relationship. It wasn't about the destination. So, next time you're rushing through life, next time you just have to get this thing done. And inevitably, when you really got to get this thing done, someone will call. Someone will say, I need a hand. I need help. Can you remind yourself in that moment that life isn't about a destination. Life is about the person that's called. Life is about that relationship. And put down what you need to do. Say, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be with you. Because if you get to the end of life and you have no people to share it with, what destination is that? It's a destination of loneliness. And if we've let distractions and different things occupy our time, take our focus, steal us away from people, we will get to the end of our life, the final destination, but we will get there alone. It's not about a destination, it's about people. And we need to take that same approach in our relationship with God. It is not about a destination, it's about a person. It's about meeting a person. So, we'll take our next minute or so and think and remind ourselves, what am I missing in my life? Or what is one thing that I can do in my life that will allow me to meet the person of Christ and not just meet him at a destination, but to meet a person. And glory be to God forever.